Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav from automationstepbystep.com. And in this session, we are going to go very basic step by step, and we are going to learn how do we create a page object model design project or framework with Playwright. And this is going to be very easy and very interesting. Step number one is we will create a new folder and we will open that folder in our IDE. I'm going to use VS Code. So I'm going to do a complete project from scratch. And in this project, first we will create a normal test. I will do a test. I will create a test on this link, this website, the internet login. So here we will create a demo test. I will add a username, a password, and click on login button. And this is the link I'm using. I will keep all these notes, all the links, everything in the description of this video, so you can also refer from there. So this is the link I'm going to use. And first I will create a very simple test, and then we will convert it into a page object model design. So first step is we will create a new folder and open it in the IDE. So I'm going to my system here, and you can create a new folder anywhere. I'm going to my E drive projects. I have a folder called Playwright here. I have my older folders, older projects here. So I'm just going to create a new folder here. And I will call it as Playwright form demo. You can name it anything. And then I will go to my VS Code. So I have opened my VS Code here, and I can either go to file and then open the folder from here, or open from here, or I'll just drag and drop the folder. So I will drag and drop it on VS Code, and it is now opened here. Next step is I will go to the terminal, and to start a node project in this folder, I will run the command npm init -y. So I will first open the terminal, and here I will say, and I'm using a dark mode of VS Code. So if you go to the settings from here, if you go to the settings, you can see set the color theme, and I'm using this default dark. Okay, so I will run the command npm init -y. This will create a package.json file, and it will also initialize a node project on this folder. So now we can add the node libraries and packages and start any node project in this folder. So you can see this package.json file is created. Now the next step is we will run the command npm init playwright @ whatever version you want. So if you want the latest version, you can say latest, or if you want a specific version, you can give the version number here. So anyways, we are going to go with the latest. So I will say here, let me clear the terminal. I will say npm init playwright @ latest. So it is asking us, do you want to use JavaScript or TypeScript? As of now, I will use JavaScript. So you can use the arrow keys to go to that option and select by enter. And it is asking, where do you want to put the test? So I'll just go with the tests folder and add a GitHub Actions workflow. So here, very recently, I have created a video on what are GitHub Actions. So it is out of context, not required here, but just in case you want to know what are GitHub Actions, you can watch my video. And for now, I'll just say why, so that I can show you what it is, but it is not required for this particular session. And then install Playwright browsers, yes, enter. And now it will start installing the libraries, and it is done. And if you now check your package.json file, you can see here we have Playwright added in the dependencies. So step number 3 is done. Now we will create a login test. So here I'm going to my tests folder, and you can see one sample test is already created. I will create a new file. I will call it as login.js. spec.js, and here we can create a new test. So you can manually create, or you can also record using the codegen utility, that is the test generator in Playwright. So to start recording, we can run this command npx playwright codegen. So I will go to the terminal and say npx playwright codegen and hit enter. So it will start the browser and also the test generator or playwright inspector here. So you can see two windows here. This is the browser window and this is the playwright inspector. If you want to, if I can show you both the windows side by side, I will click on this browser window and press the Windows key and the left arrow key on my keyboard, so that this window will be stacked, docked on the left side. And now I can select which window I want on the right side. So this is Playwright Inspector. And then I can also adjust the sizes. So now you can see side by side. And here you can see recording is already on. And whatever I will do on my browser, it will get recorded here. So let us go to this link. I will copy the link and paste it here and hit enter. And you can see it is getting recorded here. I will then enter the username. Also, you can see wherever I am taking my cursor, it is showing me the locators of that element. So username is Tom Smith. Password is this super secret password. And along with the exclamation mark, and I will click on login, and it is logged in. And now I can click on this record to stop the recording, and then I can copy this. And you can also copy in for different platforms and languages like Python, Java, etc. For now, we are using Node.js. I will just use the Node.js test runner, copy this and paste it in my test here. And our test is created. Okay, I have shown this recorder in my separate session as well. If you go to my website, automationstepbystep.com, and go to the Playwright section, Playwright playlist, which will take you to my YouTube Playwright playlist. So I think there is a session I recorded. Yes, this is the one, how to record tests. So here you can see all the other options as well, just in case you want to see all the options with the codegen utility. So see, the codegen, the recorder is still running. To stop this, you can either press Ctrl+C here and then it will stop, or you can just go to the browser and close the browser, and you can see it is stopped and it has come out here. Okay, so this is our test which is created. It goes to the login page, enters username, enters password, and then clicks on the login button. So let us run and check this. So to run the test, I will use the command npx playwright test. And when you use this command npx playwright test, it will run all the files, all the tests which are under the folder which is marked as the test directory in the playwright configuration file. So let us check the playwright configuration file. And here the test directory is tests. Okay, so whatever tests are there under the tests folder will get executed if you say npx playwright test. But I just want to run the login.spec.js file. So I will say npx playwright test, and then I will say go to the tests folder, and from here just run the login.spec.js file. Okay, so it says no tests found. Let us see. So what I'll do is I'll just under the tests folder, I'm going to create one more folder called demo, and I'm going to put my login.spec.js under the demo folder. So you can see I have moved my login.spec.js under the demo folder, which is under tests folder. And here in the configuration file, I will say the test directory is tests/demo folder. So now if I say npx playwright test, whatever is inside the demo folder will only get executed, and here I only have my login.spec file. So let us go to the terminal, and I'll now just say npx playwright test, and let us see if this works. Make sure that you have saved the configuration file and every file. Okay, so some have passed. Let me check. Okay, I think I did not save it before I started running. So I will press Ctrl C to terminate the report server, and I will run it again. So now I have saved all my files. Let me now run this again, npx playwright test, and this time it should only run my login test. Yes, it is running login test. It is running 3 times because it is running on 3 browsers, Chrome, Firefox, and Safari WebKit. And if you only want to run on a single browser, I will just show you how to do that. So yes, this time it is fine. And you can also check the report by running this command, npx playwright show report. So I want to run on a single browser. So I will say npx playwright test, and then I will say -- project equals Chromium. So this will now only run on Chrome browser. And if you want to see the execution on a physical browser, I can say -- headed. Headed means now our physical browser will come up and it will run there. Otherwise, it always runs in a headless mode. That is, no browser comes up. It runs in the background. So this is the command npx playwright test -- project Chromium -- headed. Okay, so I'll run this, and this time we should be able to see the test execution. So it goes to the browser, and it was very fast. It has done the login, and just to check, I can see the report using this command npx playwright show report. This starts the server and shows us the HTML report, and you can see this is our test, and it ran on the Chrome browser, and everything is running fine. Okay. And to stop the reporting server, I can press Ctrl C on my keyboard and say Y to terminate the job. And I will clear the terminal. So this is our test is running fine. Now let us start the process of converting our test into a page object model design. So for that, we will create a folder called pages in our project. And before I do that, let me tell you why we are doing this. So here, if you see this test, all our objects, all the object locators, all the test data, all the test scripts, actions, everything is inside this single file, this single test. Okay, all our objects, actions, data, test scripts, everything is at a single place. Now let's say in future, if something changes on this page, let's say the locator of username changes or any other change in sequence or action, then in case we are using that object, let's say some object locator changed and we are using that object in 50 test cases, we will have to go manually to all the 50 places, all the 50 test cases, and then change it there, which will be a very time consuming manual process, and it will not be very efficient. So page object model design says that we should have separate class for each page. Let's say this is a login page. We will have a separate class for login page, and in that class, we will keep all the object locators of that page along with all the actions we do on those objects. So for every page in our application, we will have a separate class in our automation project, and in that class, we will keep its objects and the actions, so that tomorrow, if anything changes on this page, we will only have to go to that page's class, and we will have to make the changes at a single location, and it will be referred from there to everywhere wherever it is being used. Okay, so let's do that. I will go to my project folder and create a new folder called pages, and it has gone inside my demo folder. So I will drag and keep it outside so that it is directly under my project folder. So you can see now it is here under my project folder. And then I will create a class, and login page, which will be there in a file called login.js. So for every page, we will create a separate class. Okay. So I will, inside the pages folder, I will create a file called login.js, and it is created here. And in this file, I will create a class login page. So this is how we create a class in JavaScript. I say class and the class name, and then a curly bracket, start and stop. Okay. So we have created a class. And now in this class, we will create the object locators and the action methods for the login page. So here on the login page, we have to work with three objects, that is username text box, password text box, and the login button. So I can make variables. I can say username, and to make it more meaningful, I will say this is a text box so that anybody can understand this is a username text box. Then I will say password text box, and then login, which is a button. And now I will say, I will give it the value. So I will add the locators here, and I can just copy the locators from here. So this is the username. Okay. Now see here, I cannot directly use it like this because we are using this page, and this page has to be passed from wherever we have started our test. So you can see this page object is here, and the same page object should be passed here to this class. So for that, I can create a constructor. I will say constructor, and as an argument of the constructor, I will take this page object, and then inside the constructor, I will add all these locators, and I will first say this dot page equals page. Now what does this mean is I am creating a class variable called page for this particular class, and its value will be made equal to whatever comes in this constructor, which is this one. Okay, so now I can say I can use page here, and this also I'm using this keyword to make them as a class variables. Okay, and I'm just going to copy all these. So this is the password, and then this is for the login button, and I'm just copying the locators, not the actions as of now. Okay, these are just the locators. Okay, you can also do a right click and say format document to correct all the formatting. I can do this here as well, format document. Okay, so I have created a constructor, and inside the constructor, in the constructor, we are taking the page object, and then we are also defining all our locators for all the objects that we need for login page. Okay, now after this, I also have to create methods which will do the action. So here we have to do three actions, that is enter username. So I can create a function. I can say enter username. I can say enter username. Again, we can give any name here. And then I can create another function, enter password. And then one more function, click on login. So if we want, we can create separate functions or atomic functions. Atomic function means one function is doing one action. So we can do that, or we can create a single function called login, and we can add all the three steps, enter username, enter password, and click on login there. And it depends on our needs. It depends on the complexity of the actions. So if it is a very complex action and you believe that you should have a separate functions for each action, you can create separate functions. Or if you believe that anybody can understand, if I just create a single function and add all the actions, we can do that. So I will now create a single function called login. And here I will add all these actions to enter username, password, and click on login. We have to use async here. And then here I will say await, and I will call the username variable, that is username text box. And you can see I'm getting auto suggestion. I can just select from this auto suggestion box and press enter, and it has auto completed this dot username dot text box. And then I will add the action, which is dot fill, and here I can give the username. Similarly, for password, I will say await this dot password text box dot fill, and here I will give the password value. And then the next thing is login button, and here we'll say dot click. Okay, now the next thing is I can give hard-coded values here for username and password. However, it will not make the function reusable. I can only use this function login with these hard-coded values of username and password, and we don't want that. We want that we can call this login function from any test, and we can pass multiple values. So the same function can work for a valid login test, for an invalid login test, or login with invalid credentials, and it will work for all the values. So for that, instead of hard coding the values here, I'm going to take the values as arguments to this function. I will take a value called username, and I will also get a variable called password, and whatever values comes in these variables will be passed here. So I will pass username variable here and password variable here. Okay, so let me show you, and I can also hide this sidebar. I am pressing Control B on my keyboard. So to hide the sidebar, you can press Control plus B, or if you're on Mac, you can press Command plus B. Okay, so this is our login page class. Now next step is, so this is, I have also put it here. I will put all this in the description of this video. And now next step is we have to import this class in our test class or the test script or the wherever our test file is there, and then create an instance of the login page class so that we can use its methods in our test file. So let us go to our test file, which has our test that we created earlier. And the first thing is I have to import this class login page. So I will say import, and here in curly brackets I will give the class name, which is login page, and I will then give the location of the file. So I will say from, and I will say double dot forward slash. So when I say single dot forward slash, it is not finding any folder here, and here it is finding the demo folder. So I have to go one more step up. I will say double dot forward slash again, and yes, now it is able to see the pages folder. I will select pages and then forward slash login. Okay, so now we have imported this, and then I will also have to create a constant and create a instance of the class. So for that I will say create a constant called login. You can name it anything, equals new login page. So this is our class. Okay, and just to check if everything is fine, when you hover over this login page, you press Control on your keyboard and hover over this. Now it turns into a link, and if I click this, it should go to the login page class, but it is not going. So see, when I click this, it is actually going to this login page. That means it is not yet exported or imported here, and for that we will either have to export the module from here, or I can just say here, just before the class declaration, I can say exports dot login page equals. So now it will be imported in the in this module when I say import login page. And now if you press Control and click on this login page, you can see it is now going back to the login page class. So this is a good way to find out that you have done the importing and object creation, instance creation properly. And one more thing, if I run this, this will fail because whenever we create an instance of a class like this, new and the class name, it will directly go to the class and call the constructor. And in the constructor, we are expecting the page object. So unless I pass the page object, which is this one, it will throw an error. So let me just pass it here. And now it is done. And now I can use this constant login, this one, and call all the methods of this class. So I will say login. Now see, here we are also going to this login page first. Before adding username password, we first have to go here. And if you want, this also can be shifted to the login page class. I can create one more function. I will say async go to login page, and here I will just paste this. Make sure that if you're using page, it should be this dot page, because we have to refer this page here. Okay, now I will say here login dot, and you can see it is able to see all the functions. I will say go to login page, and then I will say login dot login. This is the method, and we know that this method takes two arguments, that is username and password values. So the username value is Tom Smith and the password value is super secret password. And that's it. Now this is our test. This is our entire test. If you want, you can delete all this, or for now I will comment this. I'm selecting everything and pressing Control and / on my keyboard to comment all this. Once I will test and check everything is fine, then I can delete all this. So you can now see the first thing is our test becomes very clean and clear. Anybody can look here and understand what it's doing. It is first going to the login page, then it is doing login with these credentials. And the major advantage here is now all our objects, all the actions of login page, all are here at a single location of login page class. Tomorrow, if anything changes on this page, let's say the locator of username changes, we will just have to come to this class and make the changes. And it will be referred from here to everywhere, wherever it is used. So this is done, and this is our test class where we have imported the login page class, and this is how we have added our functions. And now finally we will run and check everything is working fine. So let's go to our terminal, and I will press the up arrow to go back to the last command. And yes, this is our command to run the login.spec file. Let us now see if it runs fine and everything is, yeah, okay. I think some error. Let me check. It started the test, but then it failed. So here, okay, I think this is a problem here. It says, what is the issue? Let me check. So here there is some problem on this go to login page. And let us just very quickly check. So here we created the constant, and then we are going to this. We can also control and click on this so that it goes back here. And here we are saying this dot page dot go to. So this looks fine. Okay, I think we should have used await here, because we have used async here. So along with async, we use await. Let us try with that. And I will save and run again and check. So this has started the execution, and yes, this time it was passed. We can also confirm by looking at our reports. So if I say npx playwright show report, and this is our report, this is our test, and here it went to the URL, then it entered username and password, and then clicked on the login button, and then finally it closed the browser. So this is all working fine, and you can see this is our test now, which is very clean, and it is now implemented with page object model design. Okay, and I will also put this project on GitHub and give you the link in the description, or let me do it now. I will go to my GitHub account, and here I will create a new repository. I will call it as playwright page object model, and create the repository. And this is our repository link. I can copy it from here, and here on VS Code I will first create a .gitignore file, which is already created. So in the .gitignore file we put the location name and location of the folders or files that we do not want to upload to the repository, and by default you should not upload node modules and any results or reports folder, because it will make the repository very bulky and make the process very slow. So this is already here. In case you also want to do this, make sure that you create a .gitignore file, and then I will go to the source code management source control section, and I will say initialize repository, and you can see all this has come here. There are 9 changes which are uncommitted, so I will say this is my first commit and commit the changes. So the changes are committed, and you can see everything has gone from here, and here too there is nothing which is shown as uncommitted. So all these changes are committed but not yet pushed to the repository. So for doing that, first I will have to add the link of my repository as remote here. I am pressing Ctrl+Shift+P, and so I can also just go to command palette from here, or Ctrl+Shift+P, and I will say git add remote. So here it is, git add remote. I will add the URL. Sorry, this is the URL. I will copy it. And then I will give the name. I will say this is playwright underscore page object model. And then I can publish it. So this is done. I can go and check on my repository. And yes, it has come here. So we have got our tests folder, and this is our demo folder, and this is our test here. And then if I check the pages folder, we have our login page class here. So this is the link to my project. Just in case you want to copy or clone my project, you can do that. I will give all these links in the description of this video, and all the notes will be there. So please do hands-on. Let me know if you face any issues. You can write your questions or messages in the comment section. I read all my comments and I will reply to you. And I hope this was very useful. Thank you for watching, and never stop learning.